People used to treat me like I was nothing more than a broken pencil, easily discarded and of little value. It's hard to believe that a freezing winter night at a bus stop would be the catalyst for redefining my existence, but it was. My name is Leon Reynolds, a once promising architect crushed under the weight of false accusations and betrayal. I remember the bitter cold biting my skin as I stood there, my hands shoved deep into the pockets of my thin, worn-out jacket. I had just come from yet another soul-crushing job interview that ended in rejection. But when I saw her, the shivering woman wrapped in a thick coat of privilege, something in me sparked. I walked over and offered her my jacket, knowing it was all I had left, yet feeling compelled by a flicker of hope that generosity could still exist in this unforgiving city of Westridge. She didn't know me, nor did I know her. All I saw was a soul in distress, a quiet spark in the ice around us, and for a moment, I felt elevated above my circumstances. Little did I know that woman was Sophia Loren, a CEO who would turn my fortunes upside down. As our paths intertwined, I began to grasp the irony of our meeting. Two lives vastly different, yet intricately connected through a simple act of kindness. Looking back now, I find the cocoon of despair I lived in has transformed into a chrysalis of opportunity. My heart swells with quiet confidence. My journey wasn't just about reclaiming my dignity. It was about discovering the power of human connection amid adversity. The biting wind cut through Leon as he stood at the bus stop, his thin jacket barely offering protection against the frosty air. He spotted a woman, her teeth chattering, her arms wrapped tight around herself, exuding an air of desperation. Without a second thought, he pulled off his jacket, the only warmth he owned, and draped it over her shoulders. "Here," he said, trying to mask his own chill, "it looks like you need this more than I do." The woman blinked, surprise etching her features. "Thanks, but you look frozen solid." He smiled, but dread lurked beneath the surface. Kindness had always been a gamble. Lightly, then her gaze darted toward the ground. "You should be careful. People like you don't usually do things like this." "People like me?" Leon's heart dropped. "What do you mean?" "Just, it's rare to find someone like you, offering their last bit of warmth." Leon's chest tightened as he flicked a glance at her designer handbag. "Is that so surprising? Kindness doesn't have a price tag." "Sure," she replied, a hint of condescension creeping into her tone. "Let's just hope your generosity doesn't leave you in the cold." Loie bristled but swallowed hard. "This isn't about me. It's just a jacket." Her eyes narrowed, analyzing him with both pity and disdain. A power imbalance masked under layers of well-tailored privilege that stung like salt on an open wound. He clenched his fists, fighting the urge to retort. "You don't know me." "Exactly," she said, taking a step back, an air of subtle judgment hovering between them, "and I likely won't enjoy the cold." As the bus approached, her composure shifted, leaving Leon feeling exposed, both as a man slightly less than human, and as a father terrified of what might come next. They whipped through Westridge City, sending chills coursing through Leon's bones. He stood at the bus stop, coatless and shivering. By now, the biting cold had seeped into his very soul, and the day's rejections weighed heavy on him. Frustration simmered beneath his calm exterior, a soft frustration, like a slow burn he could no longer ignore. Then he saw her, a woman wrapped in a thin blanket, shivering as she stared at her phone. In a moment of impulse, Leon stepped forward, sliding off his jacket and draping it over her shoulders. "Here," he said, "you need this more than I do." As she looked up, confusion flickered across her features before she simply thanked him. Something in her eyes lingered in his mind long after their encounter. The next day, Leon found himself warning a potential employer of Victor Dalton's games, the very man who had branded him a thief. There was no way he would accept a job under the specter of that old humiliation. Just as he thought of turning down the call, another came through. It was Sophia, the lady at the bus stop. Leon gripped the phone, a mix of hope and caution flooding his heart. "Let's discuss your designs," she said. But at that moment, the thought of Eli flashed through his mind. His son's innocent face, unaware of the intricate threats looming just outside their lives. Caught between the stifling grip of Victor and the unexpected chance at a new start, Leon felt that frustration surge again, now transformed into clarity. He'd waited long enough. It was time to reclaim his life. With determination growing inside him, he took a breath, ready to face whatever came next. Leon stood at the edge of the bus stop, the bitter winter air slicing through him, a palpable resolve coursing through his veins. After weeks of embracing the shadows of rejection, he felt a flicker of something different simmer beneath his skin. "Hey, are you all right?" he asked, his voice steadier than he expected, as he offered his jacket to the shivering woman beside him. Her surprise faltered for only a moment, and as she wrapped it around her, something shifted in Leon. He glanced at her face, a curious blend of vulnerability and strength. "Why would you do that?" she asked, her breath visible in the cold. "Because no one should feel this way alone," he replied, a quiet confidence breaking free. Days later, a call from Sophia's office filled him with a clarity he hadn't felt in ages. "We'd love to see your work, Leon." Her voice rang genuine and encouraging through the phone, dismantling the weight of his previous failures. With each passing moment, he began to shed the fear of Dalton's taunts. When he stood before Victor again, the old fear clawed at him, but the jacket felt like armor. "I don't owe you anything anymore," Leon said, each word sharper than the last. "You're not my future, you're my past." In that instant, he knew he wouldn't just accept what came his way, he would reclaim what was rightfully his. As he walked out of the building, he caught sight of his reflection, standing tall, whole. The road to healing had begun, not with grand gestures, but with the simple act of standing up for himself. Take. The cold wind whipped through Westridge City as Leon Reynolds stood at the bus stop, his breath visible in the frigid air. After a day of rejections clawing at his spirit, he felt his own desperation mirrored in the shivering figure beside him. With an earnest heart, he shed his only jacket and draped it around the stranger, her gratitude radiating warmth even in the bleakness. What Leon didn't know was that this woman, Sophia Loren, was a CEO, someone who would incite the ultimate reckoning against the man who had unjustly damned his career, Victor Dalton. Days passed, each cold dawn a reminder of Leon's continued struggle. Sophia observed quietly from afar, intrigued by his talent after stumbling upon one of his architectural sketches. Meanwhile, Dalton's threats hovered like a storm cloud over Leon and his son Eli, squeezing any flicker of hope from their lives. The moment arrived when Leon faced Dalton within the sterile walls of his office, the air thick with tension. Dalton's condescending remarks aimed to crush him, belittling his every word. But Leon carried a gift in his pocket, evidence of Dalton's unscrupulous practices, gifted to him by Sophia herself. As Leon revealed the documentation, silence enveloped the room. Dalton's bravado faltered. The carefully crafted facade of authority began to unravel. With trembling hands, he dialed a number, his pale face illustrating a rush of fear. Moments later, law enforcement arrived, the very system he used to manipulate now turning against him. Leon, standing tall in a once overshadowed space, felt a quiet satisfaction blossom within. As the handcuffs clicked around Dalton's wrists, he caught Sophia's eye. A shared glance, a silent triumph. She gave him a subtle nod, the type that spoke volumes. Watching her former boss escorted away, Leon allowed himself a breath of relief. The weight of his burdens lightened. Now the promise of a new beginning glimmered on the horizon. With a job offer from Sophia, hope rekindled. Leon would build not just architectural designs, but a future filled with possibility for himself, for Eli, and for the community inspired by an unexpected act of kindness. As I stand at the edge of my journey, the chill of Westridge's winter air seems to fade, replaced by a warmth that comes from understanding. Understanding that every struggle, every moment of kindness carves a path to resilience. Offering my jacket to that shivering stranger felt instinctual, a leap of faith grounded in empathy, despite my own battles. I never expected that modest gesture would unravel a series of events, leading to new beginnings and unforeseen connection. In hindsight, it's clear, kindness endures beyond the immediate consequences. I once feared the powerful might trample the weak, but I now realize that even the smallest person can create ripples of change. As I share my story, I ponder, Do you think I went too far? What would you have done in my shoes? Have you ever had someone treat you like that? I invite you to reflect on your experiences. Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's discuss the balance of power, kindness, and justice in our lives.